Welcome to an episode of Simon Says, Let's Talk Business. I'm your host, Al Simon, on Business Radio X. And pumped today. Got two great guests joining us for a little fun talking about business, huh? Rich Bartolotta with Schooley Mitchell, Jeff Waller with 7 Mindsets. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Al. It's great to be on the show. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, Jeff.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you very much.
Good stuff. So let's here's going to be the way we'll do this. We'll talk about Rich's business, the Schooley Mitchell organization, and what you do and what you're all about there. Then we'll spend some time talking with Jeff about 7 Mindsets, and then I'll wrap it up at the end with a little bit about sales. How's that?
Sounds like a plan.
A good plan. Okay. So Rich, strategic partner with Schooley Mitchell Atlanta. Tell us about Schooley Mitchell. What's that all about?
Well, you know, Dennis Schooley founded this company a couple of decades ago, and at the time, Dennis is up in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and he was running a CPA business at the time. And at the end of the year, he was going through his financial statement like any good finance guy, and he noticed he was spending a lot on telecom expense. So he dug in, identified some ways to save money on his telecom expenses, and then did it for his CPA clients. Then he sort of thought, you know what, I'm going to exit the CPA business, and I'm going to do expense reduction in telecom for any business. And over the years, he's evolved the concept. We added merchant services expense reduction and small package shipping. Fast forward to today, we've got about 120 offices and have helped save clients north of about $320 million in those 3 categories.
Is that all? Just $320 million?
Just $320
Best you could
million.
do, yeah.
And I'll tell you, you know, one thing, Al, that is really great about this model is it's performance-based. So my fees are earned from the savings I generate for clients, so they take no risk in working with us. We either find savings or we let them know they've got the best rates available on the market, which is good to know.
Does that actually happen?
It does. In about 10% of the cases, we don't find savings. 90% of the time we do.
I'll bet you do, yeah.
Yep.
Especially, I mean, you got 3 different areas you're looking at, right? Do most of your clients have you look at all 3 areas?
It's generally 1 to 2 areas.
Is it?
Yep. It's generally 1 to 2. But it works out well.
But can't they do this on their own? I mean, can't...
Yes, but, you know, here's the thing. Do you have the knowledge to go in and look at what the market is, right? Do you have software to look at your rates versus the market? Do you have a database to even know what the most competitive rates are? Do you have the time to do it? For example, do you want to be on the phone negotiating with a telecom vendor, right?
Right.
20 minutes after you get through the auto attendant to get to a person, you know, all that back and forth. And what's your negotiating leverage, right? So when we call up a provider of services on behalf of our client, it's not a client that maybe is a 10-employee company. They're dealing with us and the 18,000 clients we've supported. So we bring a lot of advantages, not only financial, but freeing up time, the knowledge of what's available in the industry, and you know, the leverage and the negotiating power. And I'll give you, I mean, a quick story. You know, I've got in my home, let's say I hear something up in the attic roaming around up there. I can crawl up in the attic and try to figure out what's up there. And
you want
try to figure out, or I can call a pest control guy and let him come in and do it professionally. So I think if you want to spend your time, you know, focused on your clients and growing your business, you know, let somebody come in that's a subject matter expert, help manage your expenses. And since it's funded out of savings,
makes great sense.
It's kind of a no-brainer.
Absolutely, yeah. They don't have to pay you any fees.
Right.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. So, are there particular kinds of businesses that are attracted to your services, or?
Yeah, you know, we've got clients. I mean, the last time I looked, we had no more than 5% concentration in any industry segment. So, said another way, any user of telecom, credit card fees, or shipping can benefit. But some verticals are better. Manufacturing, trade businesses have been great clients. Property management companies have been really good clients. But if you think of it also from a business that maybe has multiple locations, probably spending a lot on their telecom, probably spending a lot on their network, we can help them.
Yeah.
I've got a new client, commercial landscape business. got a lot of cell phones because they've got a lot of crews out across 3 or 4 different states.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you got a sales force that has a lot of mobility devices, we can help. And if you're an e-commerce business, maybe taking credit cards online, shipping stuff out, there we can help you in both categories. So almost anybody can benefit, but there are certain pockets that are pretty good for us.
And they're basically 90% likely you're going to find them some savings.
90%, and the majority of the times that savings is with their current provider. So think about that. It's just more money in their pocket.
They don't have to switch.
They don't have
the
to
hassle
switch.
of all that stuff. Yeah.
And in some cases, telecom is a little bit not a little more challenging when you're switching. Credit cards and shipping are very, very straightforward.
Yeah.
So
we have switched to telecom providers, and I know that's a hassle.
It can be a hassle, and that's where people. But it's the client's decision. We like to give them savings with their incumbent, and then 1 or 2 options if they want to switch, and then they can decide how much money they want to save.
But with such a vast array of services and such a comprehensive array of clients, how do you make sure that y'all are giving them the best service and the best deals?
No, that's a good question. I mean, we have kind of a 4-step engagement process that we follow with every client, irregardless if it's telecom, shipping, or credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is just establishing a baseline of what they're spending, right?
Yeah.
So we go through their invoices, we take a look at what they spend, we have a conversation with them about how they're using that technology in their business. Then the second phase is doing the benchmark, where we're going to compare what they're paying to what we know is available in the market for a like-sized company in that industry segment. So we're going to get very specific, go negotiate with the vendors on their behalf.
Okay.
Third phase would be coming back to you as a client and saying, here's a value report. We've looked at your credit card spending. Here's what you spent over the last 90 days. Here's what we were able to negotiate with your incumbent. And here's 1 or 2 other options for you to switch. And then if you move ahead and we implement that, then the fourth phase is just monitoring your account, right?
Oh, you do that too?
Making sure you're being billed per the contract, because billing errors do take place. And how many clients audit their invoices, right? I've got clients that, quite honestly, didn't even look at their invoices before we came in. And I've had clients tell us, you went into a level of detail and told us we were spending on things we weren't even aware we were paying for. So, that process just followed consistently is why we can get savings in, 90% of the cases, and it works out well.
So the first phase, that discovery phase where you look at invoices, talk to them, how much of the client's time and effort and resources does that take?
Minimal, right? It's I would say less than 2 hours, and that because it depends on how organized you are as a client, right? If you've got your invoices in PDF form already, attach them to an email and send those to me, and spend a half an hour with you. I'll having a conversation about your business, your level of satisfaction with your current provider. Is there any features or functions that you want that you don't have, right? So when we go in, we're not just looking to save, we're going to bring you a quality provider that meets your needs. So I'd say no more than 2 hours.
Okay. And then the third phase, when you come back and show options, how much of their time does that take?
20 minutes, half hour to review it.
Okay.
And then in implementation just depends. When we manage the implementation for the client, I've got, Infinite Energy is a client of mine, and we switched their cell phones. It was funny. We went in, they said, we're with provider X, we don't want to switch. We negotiated good savings, but provider Y offered a better deal, and suddenly they were willing to switch. And we had a rep on site from that wireless provider to make sure everything went seamlessly. So
that's great stuff.
Yeah,
it's like a no-brainer. I mean, why wouldn't anybody not? Why would they not do it?
It's funny. People will find reasons, but sometimes it's. I'll give you an example. A CFO I met with multiple times. I could think it was the third visit and final visit, I could just see in her face there was a hesitancy to moving ahead. I said, what's your, why are you holding back here? And she said, I don't know. but I feel like there has to be a gotcha. And I said, there is no gotcha. And I said, you can.
It's too good to be true.
Chamber of Commerce is a client of mine.
Yeah.
Infinite. I said, you can call any of these dozen testimonials I'm providing you with. You can pick up the phone and talk to them right now. I guarantee you.
That's what's the catch, right?
So what's the catch? Or sometimes, Al, it's just an owner has 10 different things that they're working on, and maybe they don't have time to really just do that first phase, even though it's not that time consuming.
Yeah. All right, so folks, let me tell you something. In a little bit, we're going to give you Rich's contact information, and I can't imagine that they wouldn't just flood you with requests to talk to you. This is a no-brainer. You're going to get savings. Is there a particular size company that you're looking for, or you don't care?
No, I've got very small clients, mid-sized clients. Yeah, we're happy to help everybody.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool.
Yep.
Now, on a personal note, I know you spent some time in Japan, like 8 years.
8 years. I went over.
You lived there for 8 years?
We went over at the time with IBM. I was the finance executive for the personal computer business in Asia Pacific, which was based in Tokyo. So my wife and 2 kids at the time, 10 and 7, went over, and it was great.
So have you taken some lessons that you learned in Japan into your business today?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think you'll appreciate this. I think in Japan, more than any place, business is done off of relationships. Mm-hmm. And I've found so many people in my experience in Japan, particularly Americans, that try to jump quickly to a transaction before they had a relationship. And as you and I know,
you know that too, Jeff?
I do, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And think about it, like you and I network.
Yeah.
How many times does somebody, immediately start selling? So I think, it's trust before transaction, and trust is built through a relationship. And I think the Japanese business community understands that well, and we do as well here. But I think sometimes it's a good reminder. And, I think having a good relationship helps your client in you when you hit tough spots maybe in your relationship, right? Because you've got an existing long-term relationship. There's a little bit more willingness to give and take to resolve issues, as opposed to making everything about a transaction.
Well, the very first step in the Sandler selling system is bonding and building rapport.
There you go.
And you can't go any farther if you don't take care of that one. And it never stops. You're all the time building rapport, even long after you win the deal or lose the deal. You got to continue to do that. So the Japanese have definitely taught good lessons there.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know you're also involved in the community a lot here back in the States, right? So tell us a little bit about what you do there.
I think like you, I'm actively involved in the Gwinnett Chamber. I was asked to serve as an ambassador, which I do. I was asked to serve on the board, which I do. So the chamber has been good for me. I'm on the board of Care for Cops. I don't know if you've...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, David Post.
Yes.
Great organization, provides immediate financial assistance to families of Georgia law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty. I'm involved in Rotary. I'm involved in my church. So, it's good. And, I tell you, prior to being in business for myself, I was a CFO. And I think one of the best parts about being in business myself is being able to actually be involved more in the community. As a CFO, you're not going to chamber meetings. You're not doing this kind of stuff. You're more focused on the numbers and driving the business in that sense. So transition has been great, just allowing me the opportunity to get more involved.
So your civic involvement is about helping people, and your business is about helping people.
It's a win-win.
That's a win-win. Pretty good stuff. Yeah. So this is Simon Says Let's Talk Business. I'm your host, Al Simon, with Sandler Training, and we're on Business Radio X, and been talking with Rich Bartolotta, strategic partner with Schooley Mitchell, Atlanta. Rich, this is awesome. But I got to ask you one more personal question, and then we'll let everybody have your contact information. So you're involved with civic organizations, doing great stuff there. You've got a great business helping people out. What do you do for fun?
We were talking before we started. I mean, I've got a higher handicap than you gentlemen, but I love the game, and every weekend, good weather, mixed weather on the golf course.
Are you? Even mixed weather, huh?
Yeah. I've played in 40 degrees and kind of rainy, so.
And enjoyed it?
I love it, yeah. And about a year.
Not me, man.
No.
About 15 months ago, I started taking Krav Maga. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a Israeli self-defense training. I take it up
man.
Krav Pro in Duluth, Georgia. It's great workout and great people, a lot of fun.
Let's get you in shape.
Good shape, and if you have any golf disputes, I'm prepared to handle anybody coming at me with a 4-iron.
All right.
I can take care of it.
And plus, with your negotiation skills, you can negotiate more strokes on the first tee, right?
There you go. Hopefully,
right.
I can.
Okay, so don't play golf with Rich, everybody, but
No,
do
you
call
definitely-
him about decreasing your expenses. Good grief, in merchant services and telecom and in packaging, shipping.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, let's do it, everybody. So, Rich, if our listeners want to get a hold of you, how's the best way to do it?
Just give me a call at 678-436-5740.
Again?
678-436-5740.
Excellent.
And I think you post the information on the site as well.
Yeah, it's on the Business RadioX site, on the internet as well, yeah. But 678-436-5740. Talk to Rich about golf. Talk to Rich about civic organizations. Definitely talk to Rich about decreasing your expenses to do business. Absolutely. Good stuff.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Al.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Jeff.
Good to be here, Al.
Jeff Waller.
Awesome.
Yeah, co-creator and vice president of educational services for one of my favorite clients.
Yeah.
7 Mindsets.
Yeah.
Great stuff that you do.
Thank you.
Really excited working with your company. And so why don't you start, Jeff, by telling us a little bit about what is 7 Mindsets, why do you exist?
Yeah.
What are you doing out there?
Yeah, the 7 Mindsets is a social and emotional learning solution. We currently work with over 350 schools in 30 states, serving over 300,000 kids. And we got started. We've been working with you since 1988. It's in our blood. We would work with inner city drug dealers and gang members, and for many years we did that. And we would do a program every year in Boston, and we're getting. I call it It was like these Goodwill Hunting kids. They were from South Boston, from really difficult backgrounds, but they were brilliant, and the Boston Police Department would bring us up there to see if there was a way that we could get these kids the tools to sort of get out of their rut and sort of get into society in a successful way. And as we were getting ready for that, we were doing some research. We came across a statistic that said anxiety and depression is 10 times more prevalent today than it was in 1960. That the average onset age, which was 29 and a half years old 50 years ago, is now under the age of 14. And for people who had spent their life empowering youth, that was catastrophic. We live in a world of unparalleled opportunity and access to knowledge, yet the human condition's in decline. And we decided we were going to do a research project and figure out what we needed to do to help sort of turn that. And we did that. We spent 3 years, a bunch of money. There was 10 of us. And we asked a simple question, why is it that some people are happy, successful, and have meaning in life, and why is it that so many people aren't? And the conclusion was that happiness and success is not predicated on what you know or where you come from. It's how you think. It's your mindsets. And so we took that and we built the 7 Mindsets from that research. And I think our success, because we had so much experience working with youth, and when you work with youth, your biggest fear is you bore them. They put their head on the table, and you're just stuck up there alone. And so, we got good at engaging and using videos and activities and games and reflective questions and discussions. And the 7 Mindsets themselves are a language that is engaging and accessible. So it allows teachers to have conversations about really important topics using a language and tools that engage kids in a conversation.
Okay.
And that's a big part of our success, yeah.
Okay. So it started with research
Mm-hmm.
and definitely a problem identified.
Yes.
And then the solution has to not to do with upbringing, but it has to do with how you look at things, right?
Right.
You call it mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and this is all part of what I understand is a category of learning called social and emotional learning, right?
That's right, yes.
Or SEL.
SEL,
Okay.
yes.
And this is, and schools all over the country are looking at this stuff, right?
Absolutely. It's probably, if not the fastest growing market in education, definitely one of them.
Yeah.
It's very, very hot. Yeah.
So most schools are looking to implement
Yeah.
some kind of SEL,
Mhm.
social emotional learning.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have competitors
Oh, yeah.
who don't
Yeah.
have your kind of research.
No, it's funny. You know, I did some competitive analysis 3 or 4 years ago, and I think there were 6 or 7 that we were coming up against, and a couple months ago I went in there, and there's now I got to 40 and I kind of stopped. You know,
Wow.
it's gotten competitive.
Yeah.
And so but it's a huge opportunity. We're really
Yeah.
excited. Yeah.
Well, y'all are a client of ours,
Mhm.
and working with your sales team, and boy, I have to tell you, their mindsets are been helped too by
Yeah,
working
yeah.
with you, because they're so positive, they're so passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
But I know there's challenges for the schools, the teachers to implement this stuff. What are those kinds of challenges?
Yeah, I think I think the biggest challenge, and the area where I think we're presenting solutions that are going to make the biggest impact, is in order to effectively help students develop socially and emotionally, it requires the teacher to be effective and to be engaged and excited and comfortable and confident, because you're asking them to do things that are different than what they've done in the past. I mean, they're talking about feelings. They're having conversations about non-academic areas, and it's a little bit of a difficult transition. So when we go into schools that we see are doing well, if you observe what's going on in the classroom, that teacher has been given the capacity to connect with those students and then have a conversation about important topics that becomes the impact or the foundation for impact. And I think where schools struggle is that if you don't, I mean, education is only as good as that teacher, that moment they're in front of that student. And so if you don't make that investment with that teacher so that when you get in front of that student, they're having impact, then your program's going to fall short. And that's really where we're focused in a lot of things that we do. And the beauty of the 7 mindsets is, they're inspirational. You know them, and they tap into all our authentic heartstrings, and we can all connect to them with our own stories.
Yes.
And when we do that with teachers, they're able to authentically deliver, just like a good history teacher is passionate about history. You know, if you give a teacher a way to connect personally with your content, then they can deliver it in an authentic, meaningful way that engages the kids back in that same manner, which takes it to the next level.
And develops that child's self-concept.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why don't you, if you don't mind, can you give us maybe like a couple sentences on a couple of the mindsets themselves?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can go through all 7, or you just stop me, okay?
Okay.
Everything is possible is
All
about expectations.
Yeah.
It's just the idea that everything that exists today was once an idea in someone's mind. Someone or some group believed it possible. Someone or some group then had the courage to act on that. And that's kind of how it is with our lives. Our lives, in a lot of ways, are what we can envision, what we can believe possible, and then what we can muster up the courage to act on. And that's what everything is possible is all about. Passion first is just this idea that we're all unique. You know, we that's a beautiful thing. We're a unique expression of human life. That is an incredible opportunity. We have the ability to do something that no one ever has or ever would be able to do again. And our ability to align ourselves with that opportunity will in large part dictate our success, our impact, and our happiness. And so that's passion first. And then we are connected is our anti-bullying message. It's the idea that everybody that comes into your life can help you, hurt you, or do nothing for you. And it's really your perspective and enter into that relationship on whether or not you can use those relationships as building blocks
These
for
are
your
incredible
success.
things, yeah.
So those are the first 3.
No, those are awesome.
Yeah.
Now, is this just for like early elementary or middle school? I mean, or is it all?
Yeah, it's funny. No, our curriculum is K through 12.
Okay.
And the markets right now that have adopted SEL more than others are elementary and middle. And
Yeah.
I think high school is a very untapped market. It's a different deal because high schools are run differently. They don't have flexibility in their scheduling. It's administrative. They tend to be a little more business-like, but it is the critical need. I mean, if you ask anybody out there in the market where the big problem is, it's high school and more likely urban, marginalized, disadvantaged youth. That's where really the big problems
But
are.
if you can get them in SEL early,
Yeah.
in elementary, I mean, doesn't that change things later on?
It absolutely does. I mean,
Yeah.
the research shows that it's a about age, somewhere in middle school is when your mind is actually almost reforming itself, and you're developing the lenses, right, that you have on the world.
Yes.
And so it's funny, we always thought middle school was the place to do this, and that's where we got started. But what we didn't understand early was it was so critical to start creating the language and the understanding the concepts in elementary, so that when we got to middle, right, they were in a position to really sort of construct these perspectives that were going to allow them to
Makes
be
sense.
successful.
Yeah, I see it in my own grandchildren. I see exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
That's awesome.
But I was just going to say, I think one thing we're real excited about is we've just acquired a company called Fulfill the Dream, and a guy named Roberto Rivera, who is the leading expert on developing culturally responsive curriculum. So delivering tools and experiences that are relevant to urban youth.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you can provide a young person with a relevant experience, something that they understand and can talk about, you've now created a platform around which you can have that discussion. And we're starting to get some really exciting results with some of our high school clients. We're hopefully going to start an initiative in the city of Atlanta real soon. And so we're just excited to sort of go after that problem, because we think we can really put a dent in it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So 40-plus competitors. What makes 7 Mindsets unique?
Yeah, I think it's our capacity to truly empower the teachers. If you go into a school, you talk to a principal, they understand the biggest challenge with anything they do is to get buy-in, excitement, engagement, and comfort with whatever it is that they're trying to do. And they know if you don't get that, it's going to be one more thing. And so, we are not one more thing.
They don't need one more thing.
No,
do
they do not.
Yeah.
They do not. They need something that's going to I remember, I think it was a BSF commercial. We don't make what you do, we make what you do better.
Yeah, I remember that
That's
one.
kind of the philosophy of the 7 Mindsets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, what advice would you give parents, teachers, in terms of this whole area of social emotional learning and how to help the kids?
Yeah, I tell you, I think I'm a parent. I have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old. And
Bless you, my son.
yeah, I'm right in the middle of it. So, I think you gotta love them.
Yeah.
And we live in a world where it's so easy to sort of be critical, to see what they're not doing.
Yeah.
And I think we need to see. I think education. I think parenting is a process of seeing the greatness within your children and getting them to see that within themselves, and then give them the confidence to act on. So I just think the perspective of believing in the potential of every kid and having that mind frame as you enter into every exchange with them is going to make your relationship better, but it's also going to build their self-concept, and it's going to bring out the very best in them. And that's where I'm at as a parent, just trying to reorient myself to the beautiful parts and the things that are going right, and celebrating those things and letting those be the things that expand in their lives. And those are the things that they can take on to a better life.
What if their home life, though, isn't reinforcing the concepts? What if the teacher finds themselves fighting, just the conditions at home?
Yeah.
Does that happen?
Oh, it's a big challenge. And
Is it?
so, there's a big sort of arena in social emotional learning around trauma informed.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with kids who are experiencing trauma outside of school? Because when they sit down at a desk, they're not necessarily in a position to learn. And a lot of times you're seeing behaviors that appear to be disrespectful. We had a kid who wasn't turning his homework in, and the teacher was getting upset, thinking the kid was lazy and disrespectful. It turned out every day the kid had to run through a gang territory, and periodically they would chase him down, beat him up, and steal his homework. And so the teacher sees that as laziness and disrespect. That kid's doing everything in their power to be successful. So this whole area of trauma informed is a space where Roberto and Fulfill the Dream, I think, has given us a unique ability to empower youth through their own voice, right? And allow them to actually be part of the solutions within their school, but within their communities. And the idea that they're not broken and need to be fixed, but they're assets that need to be activated, I think is really where you start, because you can't necessarily control what goes at home.
Yeah. So a mindset is the way you think, right? It's the way you look at things and what you do with that. And that, that's a layman's definition of mindset.
Exactly. If you compare it to a skill set, right?
Yeah.
So one of our mindsets is attitude of gratitude. So a skill set is I'm going to teach a kid to say thank you and you're welcome, right? That's a skill set. The attitude of gratitude is a perspective of abundance that I just see and recognize and pay attention to all the good things in my life. And I use that as the things I want to build off of. And out of that mindset comes, right, the perspective of saying thank you, right, because you're learning to be appreciative. But it's also giving me a foundational way to have a spirit of gratitude with whatever I come across in my life, not just saying please and thank you.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
So what are you working on for the future for 7 Mindsets? Can you give us a peek?
Yeah. I think the biggest focus is, there's a lot of them. The one thing I'm working on right now is a partnership with an organization called the Nurtured Heart Approach. And there's a guy named Howard Glasser out of Arizona who's been working with really difficult youth for many, many years. And he's come up with this technique called the Nurtured Heart Approach. And what it does is essentially it's a very elegant way of helping kids see and helping you recognize the greatness and the goodness in your students, and then getting them to see that for themselves. And we believe that's a big part of allowing schools to be successful. So we're working to sort of bring the 7 mindsets together with this approach. So not only will we give schools the curriculum and the language and the structure, but we're going to give the teachers this capacity to build relationship, because the relationship, it is the soul of education. And I think we've gotten off that. We've been focused on achievement. We've lost sight. And we need to bring it back to center. If you get that relationship right, if you can have meaningful conversations with kids about important topics, if you understand who they are, then achievement and behavior and attendance, those things all take care of themselves.
They do. So, yeah. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute when I talk about sales, actually.
Yep.
So, yeah. So it's been great, Jeff. I appreciate you coming with us and talking about this. So if there's parents out there, teachers, school administrators, school board members, people that need to talk to you, how would they best do it?
So I just point them to the website, www.7mindsets.com. That's the number 7mindsets.com.
No spaces, just 7 and mindsets.
Mindsets.com. You can get a demo. You can connect with some consultants. We got some fantastic people that can answer any questions that you have. If you have a son or daughter who's between age 13 and 19, we put on an event every year called the Ultimate Life Summit, which I think is the premier event in the world.
The Ultimate what?
Teens. Ultimate Life Summit.
Ultimate Life Summit.
It's at Disney World. And
good place.
Yeah, it is a good place. And if you go to www.ultimatelifesummit.com, you can learn more about that program. And then if you want to reach me, my number is 404-444-9782. And my email is jeff@7mindsets.com.
Okay, so let me go over a couple of those again. So the phone number 404-444-9782.
Nailed it.
That's a lot of fours.
It is.
And then the email is Jeff with a J, not a G-E.
That's right.
Jeff, J-E-F-F.
Good job. All right.
I get this. At 7mindsets.com. Awesome. Nice to have you. Boy, Rich and Jeff, this has been awesome. I'm going to talk a little bit about sales, though. And actually, it really dovetails into what you're saying here. It's interesting because I want to talk about the sales professional's mindset. It's all sales professionals typically have this undercurrent of pressure to perform, to produce. That undercurrent never goes away. If you're in a sales position, that undercurrent of pressure to produce never goes away. And so people quickly either burn out or they learn to thrive in that environment. And it's just interesting. One of my clients gave me a book written by a Harvard professor who was a Harvard student, came from a small town in Texas, somehow got into Harvard, and noticed one thing that was and this is what you're talking about, Jeff. The students at Harvard who are brilliant, right? You can't even get into Harvard unless you're brilliant. They're brilliant, but they were miserable. These people were miserable because they were trying to achieve, and they thought, okay, if I achieve, if I get good grades, and then I get that degree, and then I'll get that great job, and then I'll be happy. And so in the meantime, they're miserable. And of course, then what he found out as a professor was, well, when they graduate and get that great job, they're not happy. They're still miserable because now they got to make this project work, or make these numbers, or reduce these expenses, or and they feel the pressure, and then they're miserable again. So we find, and I've been doing this now for 18 years as a sales coach and trainer, and then 24 years before that as a salesperson and sales manager in the corporate world. And what we find is that the best sales professionals, the ones who are really solid year after year after year, are the ones that are enjoying the journey. They're thriving in their place. They're not waiting to get that big deal or make those numbers or be salesperson of the year. That's not when they're going to be happy. They're happy now, doing what they do, thriving within that sense of the constant pressure to perform. Isn't that? And the best athletes are the same way, aren't they? They're the same way, right? They're always training. They're always getting better. Professional golfers are out beating balls on the range, in the dark. They're getting better, and they're enjoying that journey. Because as soon as it becomes a grind, you're going to stop. You're going to stop striving, and you'll stop thriving as soon as that happens. And that's my sales tip of the day, huh? How about that? So yeah, forget this thing of I'll be successful when I.
Yeah.
No, you're successful when you're thriving wherever you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, that's a mindset.
All you got is this moment. That's all you really have. And if you're not enjoying it, yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. And Rich, it sounds like you're there. I mean, you're helping people, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it is a mindset, and you got to enjoy what you're doing, have a passion for it, and like engaging people and helping them, and irregardless of whether it's business or your personal life, enjoy what you're doing right now.
So I have heard passion from you, Rich, today. I've heard passion from you, Jeff, today. And if any of our listeners are lacking that passion, or they're not enjoying the journey, I would suggest that you give one of the three of us a call. I mean, seriously, give one of the three of us a call, and let's have that conversation. So this has been Al Simon with Simon Says Let's Talk Business on Business Radio X, and you can get hold of me at 770-312-2043. That's 770-312-2043. And that's Simon Says Let's Talk Business. Thank you, Rich. Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeff.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, good selling.